If you're a PowerShell developer and your VS Code environment still feels random, this is how you turn it into a clean, reproducible development environment. And no, it is not just install 25 extensions and hope for the best. I rebuilt my entire VS Code setup from scratch, not because I wanted to, but because I lost everything when I changed laptop. And honestly, that was the best thing that could have ever happened. Instead of reinstalling randomly extensions and shortcuts from memory, I rebuilt my setup properly. I've tested things, broke stuff, and removed 90% of the noise, and kept only what made me a faster PowerShell developer. But here's the good part. Almost everything you see in this video will apply to any language, and not just PowerShell. I've organized everything in 3 clear chapters. Built-in VS Code features that people ignore, 4 shortcuts, and the exact extensions I use with their real configurations. By the end of this video, you will know how to travel back in time in your code without having done a single commit, structure scripts that stay readable as they grow, and save hours of setting up VS Code the right way. And if you stay until the end of this video, I will give you everything I'm talking about in this video in one single download, and the best part, it's free. Hey, my name is Stéphane. Welcome to my basement. I'm a former Microsoft MVP and a senior cloud engineer. I've been learning automation and how to code in my basement for more than a decade. Are you guys ready? Open VS Code and let's go. Did it already happen to you? You lost code because you simply forget to initialize your project into Git? Yeah, it can happen. It is possible to get back in time to a previous state of your file, even without having done one single commit. And this is gold. In the main sidebar, there's a panel called Timeline. This one is fire, especially once you know how to use it. I create a brand new file and have a very close look at the timeline below. If I add stuff to this file, you will see timeline, nothing is happening. But check what happens when I click save. I actually Control S. Boom, we get this file saved. Let me add something else. Still nothing. Still, I save. Beam. And I do it one more time, so I have 3. Let's say I made a mistake. I change and I go ahead and correct and I save again. So you can see we have now 4 file saved elements in this timeline, and you can go ahead and navigate through the history of our latest changes. Pretty cool because we can see what we did before and after each change. Pretty sure you understand where we can get to this. Now you have a way to go back in time and get that code. To do that, it's super simple. All you need to do is select the state to which you want to go back in time, right click and select store, and that's it. And so, small tip, might be tempted to go ahead and copy and paste the contents in the diff editor. That's a bad idea. If you do that, that is entry in timeline itself of you restoring it. So if you do right click restore, then you will see it will appear in the timeline as a restore operation. You will always be able to go back to that same step in case you want to fix it or change it in the future. Copy and paste, you won't have that option available to you. It will be just another file saved and all the other file saves that you already have. As a person that writes a lot of PowerShell code, the next thing we're gonna see is one of my favorite ones, but it can be used with any language. Indeed, it's one of these things that is there right out of the box, and I believe it's a feature that is completely underrated. And this feature is called outline. By default, you can find the outline on your primary panel there at the very bottom left. I personally think it is a little bit hidden there and it doesn't have enough space. So I like to take this and move it over to my secondary panel, which you can open using Control, Alt, and B. And by the way, we're gonna talk about all my favorite shortcuts in VS Code in just a minute. You can take the outline from the primary panel and drag and drop it over to your secondary panel, and boom, you can see it has a lot more space now. And so now we're ready for the fun part. The outline shows the symbol tree of the current open editor file. It can display the symbols by category, by name, or by position. But my favorite one is position, and I come back to that in just a second. So the symbol tree will show all of the elements and their nested ones and have this structured representation of your code in one single place. And you will see it respect the hierarchy. It will show variables, functions, classes, constructors, methods, properties, enums, and even regions. Every one of these keywords is then clickable, and when you click on it, it will show up in your editor. So you have another way to go and read your code in a very condensed way now. And in big projects, this is really, really helpful. And all these settings I'm showing you here will later be included in the extension pack that I give to you guys at the end of this video. So, small tip from me. I've used this feature now for quite some time. When I look into the outline and it looks messy in there, that doesn't mean necessarily that the outline is not usable for this project. That actually means the code is maybe a little bit messy and could help in having some restructuring. This is one of the reasons why I add so many regions in my code, so that I have a better way of navigating through my code via the outline. Also, what I end up using way more often than what I originally anticipated is this collapse all and expand all up there. It will basically do what it says. It will either open or close all of the elements. And my second favorite feature is follow to cursor. When you click on follow cursor, and if you go and scroll in your code, wherever you get into a specific section, it will be visible in the outline where it is. So each time it will be highlighted, and you will always see the correlation between your outline and your code file. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. If you like this video, please would mean the world to me if you could hit the like and the subscribe button. This really sends me a positive message. There's one thing I really dislike about the default installation of VsCode is that by default, you cannot control and scroll in order to zoom in and out of a file. This drives me nuts. But yeah, actually, it's not a big deal. It's really super simple to fix. And for that, all we need to do is add this specific setting in our settings file. And since we in that settings file right now anyways, I will also add all the other settings in that file at the same time. And all of the settings will be available down in the description below. One thing I used way more than I wanted to is the automatic formatting of my code. And you saw it's one of the settings I introduced before. This can basically be done with a simple shortcut, which is Shift, Alt, and F by default. And it will automatically format your code based on the code formatting preset you have set in your user settings. I use OTBS, not because I specifically chose that one, but I basically was working in a team, and that was like the base standard that everybody needed to use. And quite frankly, I actually really got used to it. Now it's difficult for me to read code that has not been formatted with that OTBS setting. So if you take a look, there are other presets that you can use. So you can go ahead and choose the one that you prefer for your own style. And additionally, one of the settings I've also added is that it will automatically format the code when you, one, paste new code in your existing file, which is great. And then another setting, which is basically each time you save your file, it will automatically format your whole code. If you start a new project and this setting is in there, it will be always automatically formatted. So be aware that if you add this setting and you've been working in an existing file already, which is pretty big, be sure that you save your changes before. And if you've never used the formatting before, be sure that you format and save right afterwards. Otherwise, you're gonna have a super big commit, and it will be difficult to distinguish what is part of the formatting and what is actually part of your real code changes. What I like to do then, take one single commit, the formatting, and I save all the formatting options without any specific changes to my code, just the formatting, and save that in one commit, which I like to call beautify or prettify or something of that nature. And so like that, you immediately see, hey, in the commit history, this is just a beautify, not really important. And then the change won't be mixed in that commit. And before we start to look at the extensions, I want to make a very quick detour first through my favorite VsCode shortcuts. You probably know the classic ones like Control-N, Control-O, Control-S, Control-V, Control-C. In addition to these classic ones, you also have Control-F for search and Control-H for search and replace. But these shortcuts are all part of the classics, let's say. They work in the most common applications. Now, I would like to talk about shortcuts that apply specifically to VS Code. VS Code has a lot of different keyboard shortcuts available. I have tried to reduce it to 5 so that this list is not too long. And if you enable the screencast mode, it will show on screen in VS Code every keyboard button you press, it will be visible on the screen. So this is perfect when you do live demos, presentations, or screen sharing. So shortcut number 1, Control plus F2. Control F2 is the refactoring shortcut, and it will allow you to rename single elements in your code. In this example here, I'm renaming configuration to configuration data in one single instance. Shortcut number 2, folding, unfolding. Now this one is so powerful. My keyboard layout is a little bit different. I personally am using a QWERTY keyboard, which is obviously not a QWERTY. I have created my own custom shortcuts simply because the ones that were suggested by default in VS Code were not very handy for me on the keyboard. I use Control plus Y to open a folded section and Control D to close a section. But I also put like the default shortcuts of VS Code for folding and unfolding on screen right now, and you can take a screenshot if you want. As I mentioned before, these shortcuts really fit my personal needs. If you want to open all of your folded elements, the shortcut that I have is Control Y A, and it will open all the folded elements. And in the contrary, if you want to close all the folded elements, you do Control D followed by A, and then it will fold all the elements. There's this third one, the last one, which is Control Y, which is basically my personal favorite one, and it allows to do the opposite. So if you are in a folded section, activate this shortcut. If the section is folded, it will open it, and in the contrary, if it's open, it will fold it. Shortcut number 3, format code. So we've seen this one a little bit before, but basically this one is to invoke your code formatting preset, and it will allow you to format your code nicely. The VS Code default shortcut for formatting preset is Control Alt F. Shortcut number 4 would actually be the combination of 2 different shortcuts, Control B and Control Alt B. Control B is the shortcut that will allow you to show or hide your primary sidebar, the one on the left. Control Alt B is the shortcut to show or hide your secondary sidebar, which is generally on the right. They work pretty well in combination together. Shortcut number 5. It's not necessarily a shortcut, it's more about text placement. Text placements in VS Code makes it really easy to move lines of code or line of data around in your file. When you put your cursor in front of a line, or when highlighting a few lines of code, you can then press Alt plus either the arrow up or down, and you will move that single line or like these multiple lines up or down. It's a very quick method to move things inside of a for each, inside of a method, etc. And for these shortcuts, it is exactly why I created the extension pack. Nobody wants to redo this on every machine. And so this is a bonus one. So you can do the regular Control C, Control V as usual, but there's actually a faster way to copy a line. That would be with the Shift, Alt, and arrow key, so either up or down. And last but not least, if you want to modify multiple lines at the same time, you can also do that. Simply put your cursor where you would like to do the change, then press Control, Alt, and then either up or down as many times as you want. Like that, you can modify multiple lines all at the same time. Now let's have a look at my 9 preferred VS Code extensions that I use daily as a PowerShell developer. Did it already happen to you that you were planning to do a change in your code, and when searching for that specific location, you bumped into a bug or something that you needed to fix, but you didn't want to do it right away? And so you face this existential question: should I fix it now or should I do it later and come back to this once I've fixed the original problem? Can be a tough question to answer because help you with that, there's a pretty cool extension that actually helped me a lot, and it's called To-Do Tree. Once you've installed the extension, you will be able to add specific keywords in your code, which are called tags, and you add a hashtag and with a specific keyword at the end. By default, there are 3 keywords that you can use: to do, fix me, and bug. And once you start using them, you will see when you scroll your code, these things will really pop up. It helps you to block and see, hey, I need to do something here. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. If you take a look on the side, you have this new icon, which is shaped like a tree. If you click on there, you actually have a very nice overview of all the tags that you have added in your code. And so you can organize this by either by type or my favorite one by file location. And then if you click on one of them, you will automatically jump to that specific location in your code, which is pretty cool if you ask me. So it's possible to change the existing tags to your personal preferences by changing the color, fonts, etc. And on top of that, you can even create your own keyword. So just for the example, I created a new keyword called basement, and with some specific settings. You can take a screenshot of my settings right here, or you can just visit the link down in the description below. You can see that this color is really popping out. And so when we scroll, we see it's bright yellow, it's there. In addition to that, I added the gutter icons. And so if you add a tag in another file, you will see that that tag will also be visible in the to-do panel list. So with To-Do Tree, you can always see if there's something you still need to do before you commit your code. When you add a tag sometimes in To-Do Tree, it doesn't sync immediately in the to-do panel. For that, you need to click that little refresh button. So it will refresh, scan all the files, and it will show all the tags you have created. So you really thought I was going to do a whole video without mentioning AI at least once? Nah. The next extension is Copilot. Copilot is Microsoft's new favorite tool, and it's integrated in their whole ecosystem, and VsCode is not an exception. Once you've installed the extension, you need to log in with either a Microsoft or a GitHub account. I have chosen to go with my GitHub account. Once you logged in, Copilot will allow you to have some pretty interesting features, such as ghostwriting your code, which basically will suggest you some code you could implement, and you can choose to implement it using tab. If you don't like the suggestion that it is offering to you, you can always choose a different one and then simply press tab to validate your choice. In addition to that, there's also this nice little chat window on the side. To use it, simply ask questions about your code. It can help you debug existing problems, give you hints, etc. Here in my example, I just asked him to add comment-based help to my function, which it did in 12 seconds. So in this section, I'll only show you the Git lens sections that I prefer. In the Git panel, Git lens will add a new Git section at the very bottom, which makes crucial Git data really visible. We'll be able to see things like the list of commits that have been done in these branches and in these remotes, the list of stashes, and we can also apply these stashes directly from this pane, the tags, the contributors, and it's only the tip of the iceberg. Now, if we go back in any line of any file that is located in any of your Git projects, you will see that we have additional information at the end of every line. This information is actually the Git blame information. If you hover on that line and wait a second, you will have a new pop-up that will open up. It will give you more information about that Git blame, such as the commit hash, who did it, who pushed the code, etc. So from here, you can click on the hash. And when you click on the hash, it will bring you to the commit inspect detail pane. There, you're going to have all the details from that specific commit. So we went from a single line all the way back to the commit, where you can see the list of files, the list of commit messages, etc. Now, since we're in this new Git lens pane, you can see there are other sections there, which look pretty promising. So in Git lens, there's 2 ways to see the history. There's 1 via the line and 2 via file. The line history allows you to see the history of a specific line. You can go back in time and go back to the commits which modified that specific line. The file history will do exactly what it says. We show you all the history of a specific file. You can go on a specific commit that is related to that file, and you can have the history of the complete file. So beneath there, we have the visual history file. This section will allow you to see a graphical graphical representation of where the most activity took place on a specific time period. You can see there are like a few blue dots. The bigger the dot, the bigger the activity. You can then navigate in the history of this file by simply going down the timeline at the bottom. And there's a search and compare section where you can execute searches in your commit history. Here, for example, I'm just searching for the word fix, and it will filter all the commits that have the word fix in the message, which is really useful, honestly. In addition to that, you have on your primary taskbar, where you have the terminal basically, at the very end, Git Lens added another tab. In that tab, you really have a very nice graphical representation of your commit history of that file that is currently open. Git Lens is not free, but with the link that I have down in the description below, the price of this extension is ridiculously low. And honestly, for the quality of the work they've done, I personally believe it's peanut. This link will provide you 50% discount on an already very low price. VsCode is really good in identifying errors in your code. VsCode is not really good in showing you where the problem actually is located. In this example here, I have voluntarily created a bug in my code, and you can see VsCode added these red squiggly lines, but the specific problem that we face here, so we can deduct it, yes, of course, but VsCode will also show you what the problem actually is, but it's not visible like that immediately. So you need to navigate down to problem section, and then you will see that information where it is specifically in your file and on which line. But you can actually have a better visibility than that. And this is our next extension, error lens. So what error lens will actually do, instead of having that information located in another pane, error lens will simply take that information and put it right next to the line of where the problem actually is. And so you have the information where you actually need it. The next extension is a very colorful one, and it's called Peacock. So I don't know about you, but I often work on different projects at the same time, simply because sometimes I'm waiting for some feedback. It depends on the situation. And I end up having multiple VsCode sessions open, and since they all look the same, sometimes I take a few seconds just to find the good project that I'm actually searching for. With Peacock, you can give each of your project a specific color. Like that, VsCode will have its own color, and it is very easy for me to find which is the project I'm actually searching for. If you don't really mind which color you want to have, you can just add the following setting, surprise me at startup to true, and then it will basically assign a random color to your specific VsCode project. And like that, you will have nothing to do other than just opening a new project. And this is a simple but yet powerful one. It's called Indent Rainbow, and it works for any language. Indent Rainbow will add a color to each indentation in your code. And like that, you can see when a block starts and when a block ends. And that really is pretty powerful. Combined with the race colors that you can have and the default lines of VsCode, this is actually gold. It works with any languages, so it also works with Python and YAML, which don't have braces to separate the beginning and the ending lines of their code. It's very clear to see where a section starts and where a section ends. Since we're doing a lot of things with colors now, let's throw this one in because it's part of the same theme, let's say, and it's called CSV Rainbow. CSV is great to import and export, but then when you look at it as a human, sometimes it's difficult to see which section is part of which header. So specifically if like the contents are very long. CSV Rainbow actually helps you to fix that because it will attribute a specific color to every header. And so you know under which header that line should go thanks to its color. And that again is a gain of time. Backup and sync settings. If you look at the lower part of your screen, you have this cartwheel, and there you have a section called Backup and Sync Settings. You need a Microsoft or a GitHub account in order to log in, and once that is done, your settings will automatically be saved to the cloud. So you can see here everything that it is syncing, the settings, shortcuts, extensions, etc. The list is really long, and you can always choose to not sync a specific thing if you don't like to. And once you have done your first sync, you will see this little sync icon on the left side, and you can go in there and have a visibility on everything that VsCode is syncing for you towards the cloud. And so you can choose, add or remove things from there, or simply just monitor whatever it is syncing. After this, I will show you how to install everything we've done so far in one single shot. And so if you create a lot of network schemas or just for UML representations, you probably already heard of Draw.io. So did you know that Draw.io actually has a VsCode extension, which is super powerful. Once you've installed the extension, you simply create a file with the extension .draw.io, and you immediately have their full complete editor, just like in the web, locally available in VsCode to do any of your drawings. So honestly, that is super powerful. This is the bonus you guys have been waiting for. It's actually composed of two parts. One, a basement extension pack, and two, my basement profile. So first, let's go ahead and install the basement extension pack. Go in VsCode, select the extension tab, and search for basement. There, you can go ahead and install the basement extension pack, which is the one I have created. It contains all the extensions we have talked about in this video right now. Second, you can go ahead and install a profile. To install a profile, first what you need to do is download the profile I have created for you guys down in the description below. Once it's on your laptop, go ahead and open VS Code, click on the cartwheel, select profiles, select the down arrow next to the blue button, and select import profile. There, simply point to the profile that you have downloaded. And the only thing you need to do now is go in the lower left part of VS Code, select the profiles and choose basement. You will see that now you would have this nice little cup of coffee, and it will automatically install all the missing extensions and set up VS Code for the best PowerShell experience. And voila, you have your VS Code completely set up with the extensions and with the environment configured as I showed in this video. Your coding environment is all set up. And if you want to use it now to connect to other machines in your environment, I would recommend you watch this video right here where I explain how the WinRM HTTP protocol works in depth. Okay, see ya.